YouTubers, today I'll show you well, actually, I'm gonna watch this video and give you my honest opinion. For what? This is the Justice Continent. I will put a link down below for the for it, so you can go subscribe to his channel and also subscribe to my channel as well. So yeah, and also the point of this video is to make my point of view of his he's saying. So yeah, let's get this started, shall we? So
blockers would show up under extensions, right? Why not? Because last time I had ad blocker, it was lagging my computer.
I don't know, really.
Is YouTube slow right now? I mean, I don't. People aren't really detecting issues.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like kind of crapping itself. All right. Anyways, guys, make sure you like, subscribe to Jess as we get some reaction content from her video.
Also, like to subscribe to her video as well. I forgot to mention that part as well. So.
She is quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! From the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! So another top-level duelist seems to be wanting to leave the game. Let's hear her out, and hopefully it's nothing crazy. But I imagine it's probably just the same thing we've heard over and over again: the prize support. The no European YCS probably is a big one, and yeah. Anything else? So I'll make it clear that right now, like, even if I don't love the current format, and yes, price support sucks, I don't plan on leaving. Not anytime soon, at least. It's not like something that's in my head. So this is not a sentiment that I share. But yeah, I mean, let you guys know.
To be honest with you, I don't like the price support, the price support either. But I love the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! By the way as well. So, I like the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I like the game about it. The price is not great. The price is not great. We all agree about it. The price is not great. So, yeah, let's go.
I am quitting competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And so are half of or most of your favorite players. And there's a bunch of reasons for this. I'm going to go through my personal reasons.
So I don't know if it's like everyone's quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! People make it out to be a lot more than it is, because...
Give me... Pass a second. Oh, okay. There you
go. The ones that are leaving are the ones that are vocal, right? So the people that are staying aren't really saying anything. There's plenty of players who are staying in the game, who are well-known, competitive, and doing well. And usually what happens is large friend groups migrate at the same time to different games because their friends kind of go with each other. And so the way that works is, like, it also means that their perspectives can be warped. And I know a lot of the Brits have stopped playing. So I almost have to wonder if because a lot of the British players have stopped playing as much, maybe her perspective also could be a little bit more skewed for that and biased for the British perspective. Because, I mean, yes, players are leaving. I don't think it's as crazy as people make it out to be. A lot of the pro players will still be at YCSs. Like, September will be a good metric, right? For Sacramento and for France. We'll see if players in their respective regions are still showing up to events. If they aren't, then we'll see, okay, this is a real fucking concern. But I think people will. I know Pac just booked Sacramento. I'll be at Sacramento. People will be there. Cam says you give us exactly.
I can agree with say at this current moment, but let's continue.
Cam, like,
yeah, we'll have a bit of
Cam can speak to it as well. Still playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Discussion, because I think there's a lot of things that would need to change to get me back to playing this game. And yeah, I'd like to clarify very quickly. I am still going to be doing content stuff when I'm back from my little hiatus break. I will be back to doing content, but I will not be attending or competing at events. I will not be at YCS Bologna. I will not be at YCS Lille.
At the point clear, I will never quit the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't, because I love this game. I was about, I love this game over about 20 years now. So, and then that's not my opinion. Will never change. So, just try to get that point clear. For it. Just try to for it. So let's continue the video.
And I won't be at any competitive events unless something drastically changes, which I highly, highly doubt. Right, so why is everyone quitting and why am I quitting? I guess I'll go from a personal perspective. I've got a bunch of reasons. So this is unscripted, Jess. We're just going raw because I feel like that's the best way to get my perspective across. Let's go through it. So, the direction of game design. I've played for 10 years, and the reason I've played for 10 years is I love this game. Mechanically, it was really complex. The card pool, there was so many interesting things I felt like I could do and discover. And yeah, it excited me. I enjoyed the game a lot.
Changed.
And I kept playing. And it doesn't excite me anymore. With the way card design is going, increased, more...
So I would like to say that there have been times where I felt like it's felt doomed. I wasn't happy with the way that design was going. And then surprisingly, a new deck draws me in and I don't have that problem. Some examples were adventure format with all the Halka type bullshit cards. I really didn't enjoy that. And I didn't know if I saw a brighter future coming. I really enjoyed Pote though. And even Cashier, which I hated everything besides mirror matches, thought maybe it won't get better. Then really enjoyed Unchained afterwards. Even Fire King, which is actually, even though it wasn't played by itself, Snake Eye cards I don't like. Fire King cards are awesome. Those cards are great. I love that. So there still will be well-designed Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks, and it changes so frequently that even if we have a rough patch, stuff will change. So I'm curious if that opinion will stay the same over a long course of time. I understand it can be rough at points. I've definitely had points where I enjoy the game more or less than other points. But yeah. That being said, if she has current points current talking points on the actual format right now, I'll give a look and maybe I'll give my opinions on them as well. As my opinion on the current format is I don't love it. I'm not a huge fan of Snake Eye cards. I mean, the cards are cool and people give her credit for, and I actually don't mind those. I hate Beatrice though. I think the crazy combo decks are a bit too broken right now, and the mirror matches aren't interesting. But if that changes, then that could be set up for a lot better for format, and I'm interested in seeing how that could be fixed. But yeah, right now let's see what she has to say.
I kind of agree to the user's point of view here, because the Snake Eyes wasn't that interesting, with Snake Eyes and then Bean Smith and all that as well. But I do agree to his opinion as well. So but what was it? See what else is you got to say?
Blanket effects, Mulchamis, Dimensional Shifter, Spooky Dogwood, and Spooky Dogwood time rules is a whole thing. It just doesn't appeal to me. And then when you combine that with the increasing power level, so the first big point I have is to do with power level with cards like Fiendsmith. So the Fiendsmith engine recently released, we saw it in play at North American Nationals and European Championships, and we also noticed the consistency of top players doing well decreased massively. Especially for European Championships, we saw hardly any of our
I'd be curious because that's something that's like hard to get metrics for, or hard to like. It's subjective. You could actually run stats on it. Now, obviously, like I didn't top nationals or WCQ this year. I was close. I bubbled out. But I know other players did top that are good, so it happens. Jess is salty. Jess didn't even go to Euros though. She didn't give herself the chance to top. Europe again. I don't know the full player base. I don't know exactly what the answers are or what the stats are like there. Do I think this is a very skilled format? No. I think it's a skillless format. Also, no. I think the format is just a very fine average format, anything a bit below average in terms of skill expression, which is like will contribute to, I guess, more randomness and players with a fair worse skill set doing well. But I don't think this is like crazy. We've absolutely had worse formats. So, yeah.
big top players actually in the top cut of that event. And I think that's because of the power level. Because we have the blanket cards just auto win like Dimensional Shifter. And the power level of cores like Fiendsmith making the game so RNG dependent, like making the game more and more RNG dependent.
So my biggest problem with this argument is power level isn't isn't a correlation with skill expression. We've seen that with tier, right? Like I think most people would agree tier is a more powerful deck than this, and you can argue that the tier mirrors or something was skillful in the game's history. And there's plenty of low-powered old formats where they're not powerful, but they aren't skillful, right? How powerful is LOB format, for example? Power does not constitute skilllessness. And I think that argument is kind of whatever. I think the Fiendsmith cards actually have a lot more of skill expression to them than the Snake Eye cards. And I actually don't think those are a problem besides Beatrice and Apo. But, I mean, I've already stated that argument a couple times now, so whatever, but yeah. A deck playing D-Shifter top, you're joking, right? Like, any deck that's not Fiendsmith Snake Eye played Shifter pretty much. If it topped. Barring maybe a few random picks like Memento. I think what defines how fun a format is how interactive the games are at the top. I mean, there's like several different things you can analyze, and it's kind of hard to put into metrics, right? Because fun is hard to measure, but it is a weird of a concept. Memento uses Fiendsmith. We're talking about Shifter, not Fiendsmith. Yeah.
it discourages you from trying as hard, to be honest, or discourages me from trying as hard, because if you're the more I know.
This part is true. When you think there's a lot of variance, you're not and like the format feels luck based, you are less inclined to practice and put in work. And I felt that way when the adventure synchro stuff, which yeah, I wasn't at the top of my game for sure, but like I wasn't putting as much time in because it felt like so unrewarding.
I know everyone always makes that, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh is super luck based, but like
it's not.
If a game is becoming more and more luck based and it becomes harder and harder to top consistently, it reduces motivation to play, because you could be the best player ever, but you're less and less likely to do well because that's just how the game is and how the game feels like it's becoming. Also, there's a bunch of other things. I think that goes hand in hand with a couple of other points, such as prizing and Euros. European Championships was a huge one for me because it felt like there was no interest whatsoever in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look online, I looked online after the tournament, or like the morning after, and there's just no interest or hype about the event. Everyone's just...
Huh? I don't get that. I feel like that's not true at all. There's been plenty of discussions on Euros. I was streaming it. I had like 1,500 viewers for the finals, which I know is not like Josh level, but I'm a smaller streamer than Josh, period, anyways. So like I'm not expecting as many people. I think this is, again, a warped perspective. I'll let her keep talking, and I'll type it. If I need to.
Okay, Shifter will try me. No one, or Fiendsmith stuff. The hype is gone. Especially in comparison to last year, or even not European Championships, even events like YCS Bologna, the hype was just...
What?
I thought that Jessie was cooked.
I don't want to like blast her here, but like her perspective isn't objective. Last European champion was her. So to her, it of course looks like there's a lot more of a reaction. I think there was plenty of reaction for Euros and Nationals this year, NAWCQ. Guys, please stop fighting in chat. People were interested in my chat for the stream. People were interested on Twitter. I saw Josh's White Force video. Like, I look at the metrics of all the YouTube channels, the Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube channels, because like I study them to improve my own channel. And Josh's White Force topping deck profile is doing phenomenal. So there's plenty of interest, even if it's not like the most in the world. it's fine, right? Like, yes, there's more hype when something notable specific wins or does well, or player-wise does well. But that doesn't mean there's zero. And I still think there's plenty of people interested from every the events. Yeah, there's some fatigue. Listen, the format's not an all-time high for Yu-Gi-Oh! By any means. This isn't like anything crazy. But also, people saying that there's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Has no interest is also people with very warped perspectives. Yeah, I was at locals last night. There were 16 players. I don't know how big the locals usually is. I haven't been in like years, but 16 players isn't tiny. It was a Wednesday night. You're pretty excited about the direction of the game, even though you don't like the repeated cycle of expensive top deck cards. Yeah, I mean, that's other problems, right? The game is far from perfect, and I'm not ever going to try and say it that way. But also, people finally get sick of something, and they decide it's not for them, which happens. People get bored of a game when they need to take a break. But then they think this is happening to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world shares their opinions. And then it gets kind of weird. Because I don't think she is the, she's not the only person who feels that way, but she's also not with the majority of players. Or she's not looking at the entire big picture, I think. Yeah.
There, people were excited about the game. People liked what they saw. And just all the hype and excitement is gone. And on top of that,
This sucks because you really can see where she's coming from. Me and Josh aren't exactly objective either. It's your job to stream and make content for the game. Yeah, but if anything, that gives us a more objective view because we see what the casual and what the more average player experiences a lot more often. We share a lot more of your thought of those people's thoughts than the competitive players. As far as income goes, we are more attached to this game. We can't quit without completely changing our profession at this point. What would it take me to quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing being bad? I don't know. Because this is specifically only for competitive. What any casual wants isn't relevant. But okay, so what, Herman? What point of mine are you refuting then? Because her argument here is that people aren't as interested in the events. Like the last two European champions are from her friend group. So obviously it's going to seem more impactful to that friend group when one of them wins. Like, is this... I'm not saying this is anywhere close to the most impactful or most memorable championship wins ever. But it's also not, like, nothing. The quitting... Okay, but you can't start an argument with me and not be actually attacking the argument that I'm making. Okay, but Herman, why are you piping in to a conversation that we're not having right now? I'm specifically talking about her argument. I'm not saying people aren't quitting. I'm not saying they don't have a reason to quit. I don't get your point then. Like, what are you trying to argue with? What's the argument here? Herman loves seeing me stressed. Herman just came in for the last 10 seconds, it feels like, and wanted to say something. Format is poo-poo pee-pee water. I don't like the format either that much. I don't feel it's that bad, but I don't like it either. I'm letting Herman type up his response because he said, nah, it's more so, and then keep your stream going, we can do it in WAF later. No, I don't want to have a goddamn conversation later in a group chat. Truthfully, I don't give a shit what people think. So I'm not going to engage in it all off stream. However, when I'm on stream and I can have a discussion to share with the world, because other people want to hear what I have to say, then I'm good to do it. But in truth, you guys shouldn't care. Listen to other people's opinions if you want to see what their thoughts are, and then you can kind of see if you feel the same way. It can be some sort of validation, that's fine, but stand on your own like ideas, right? Like if you aren't enjoying the game, you don't have to play. That's fine. But I enjoy the game still. I also need to do it for my livelihood, but right now I don't feel like I want to quit anyways. And there have been times where it has been rougher. I think my point of view doesn't exactly resemble that of an average competitive player since your priorities lie elsewhere. Sure. It's in my interest to think it's not going downhill. No, actually, I make way more money on YouTube videos where I scream, Yu-Gi-Oh is dying! Yu-Gi-Oh is dying! So actually, you could argue it's better for me to have drama and say things going downhill. I can't read the paragraphs. If you send an essay, it's going to get dragged down by chat before I can read it. Like, I understand how frustrating it looks seeing other games have better pricing. If that's going to be like what people's argument are for competitive players being upset, that one I understand. And it forced me to analyze why am I playing this game. But the answer is that's never changed. It's now just something that looks prettier. And if the money becomes appealing and you still have fun playing those other card games, then yeah, I mean, do that. I don't blame you. But for me, if I play another game, I still much prefer Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of playing wise. And I wasn't ever playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For the money, so I have to just say, F it, I can play both games. Maybe a scale back competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And I just do Yu-Gi-Oh! For more fun. And then I play other games aside for money. And that's kind of what I did with One Piece a little bit in spring. I don't think I'm as detached as Herman thinks I am. I understand my evaluations are slightly different. But I also think it's not as different than everyone else's. The game has an issue. The game has always had issues, though. My problem is this is not something new. We've all had these arguments for years. I remember at Worlds in 2018, before we even had Alt Arts and whatever, and these other games of One Piece doing well, sitting down with some of the Konami employees at Worlds, because we couldn't have any dinner. Ryan was allergic. Ryan Levine did a lot of the food, and they had all pork dishes, so I couldn't eat. And I remember two of the Konami employees took us out to dinner afterwards and bought us food somewhere else because we couldn't eat anything in the welcome dinner they had at Worlds. And I remember we were just talking, and me and Ryan, like close friends, we talked for a while as well on like ideas to help, and we were pitching ideas for, hey, these things could help. But nothing happens. Nothing has happened. And it's not entirely for the fault of those employees. But it's, yeah. Like, it's just not new problems, right? So like, either you like Yu-Gi-Oh! In spite of the problems. I just don't see the point in bitching, right? Like, all that negativity doesn't feel like it goes anywhere, especially when I was already playing this game and I still played it despite those problems anyways. I wish it would get better in some of these things. But yeah. You say 90% of everyone I know who plays this game in high competitive level in Europe has straight up quit. Oh, Europe is in a way worse spot than me as well. So it's a bit harder for me to envision Europe as well, and I'll give you that much. My view is not as good for Europe, because your events just don't fucking exist. Europe is in a way worse spot than the rest of the world. That one is entirely like a different story, right? Like, but yeah, I think I seriously don't know what happened with Konami Europe in this last year. And I cannot believe they have not been vocal, because it's been so apparent how people have been hurting. I think Europe, if anyone's going to doom because of a change in the last 10 years, it can only be Europe, really, right? Because that's the only thing that's really changed. But the thing is, now we have 2 European events back. We'll see if this continues. I wish Konami would just say, hey, we had a venue fall out in the spring. We couldn't do our scheduled European event. I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying what if it was. And we could not find another venue. But Yu-Gi-Oh! We can still support via opens and such. That communication is something Konami doesn't do. And yeah, I mean, that's part of the issue as well. But like, I would, yeah, I know Konami Europe has been a mess in the last year. Lack of communication has been rough. There's no money left for Konami Europe. That's a problem in itself. For what it's worth, the believing of buying up the entire European YouTuber seems laughable, but that's something for another day. I don't know what that means. Just want Konami to take over the European scene. It is just a different section of Konami. It's still Konami Europe. Yeah, I don't know. I think people aren't critical enough with a lot of these points. I'm not saying the points have no validity. I'm saying a lot of the things aren't entirely objective. But I'm not saying Yu-Gi-Oh! Is something you should never quit. Another verse prize card has been a disaster. Oh yeah, they've been terrible. Yeah, terrible. Not going to deny that. What do the bigger European YouTubers have a deal with Konami is what he means, I think. I don't know their budget, right? Their budget's not public, so I can't even like give a critical analysis on whether it's worth it or not. That's so much more complicated than saying it's good or bad because you don't know the math behind it and the analytics. If we get another verse random vanilla with zero collectability, I mean we are. I mean I'd be surprised if we're not at this point. I'd be so surprised if we're not getting another verse magician. I'm not happy about it, but like I'm also not playing for the prize cards. I say this as someone with a prize card collection. It's fucking terrible. You want meta prize cards? No. Give me alt arts. Give me character cards. What if there was a Yugi Moto prize card? And just it was a vanilla, but it was Yugi fucking Moto or the Pharaoh. Why not that? Why not an alternate art Ash Blossom or Blue Eyes or anything instead of garbage? Doesn't need to be meta. It has to have collectability. It has to have demand behind it. Some sort of demand. Because people are going to complain about the price issue in the game, which is valid. I'm not saying it isn't. But if they're going to complain about the price issue, you can't then have OP prize cards because then those prize cards become $1,000. Even if they're not staples. Like the Chaos Emperor Dragon prize card in Thunder was a card you would absolutely play if you had it. But it was $1,000 or more. That's fucking rough. You shouldn't have that. That's fine. I don't want them to have that. Give out prize cards to all the Top Cut and change how they work. Make multiple prize cards per season and in different rarities then. And then you can spread it out to where there's better ones that are more top end heavy. And players can still get something decent for top 2 or whatever. And you make it something a lot more impactful. I don't do another risk cards, at least anime girls. Okay, this is, yeah, sure. I guess. Gluttonia's troll. Another risk dragon's a dragon, I guess, which is neat, but whatever. All-star prize cards would be sick. Make a special rarity for prize cards. There are things you can do. Give out special tournament packs, which have Starlight Rare, which will only just be like a Starlight. The pack is, say it's, you get a YCS pack. And inside of it is a QCR from the latest set. And for topping, you get like 2 or 3 packs. And then, or a certain number of packs. And then the further you get in Top Cut, the more packs you get. What would that cost them? Not much. Would it destroy the market? Probably not that much. It would maybe price them again a little bit, but not that much. And it would give players some actual value in their winnings, as well as some collectability. That's also another option you could do. There are plenty of options to fix things. I don't expect it to happen, and I'm not on that side at all. I would love actual money like Pokemon. I'd love a car. I have to be reasonable. I have to make sure the economy can handle it, economy's budget can handle it, and then actually be desirable. And it's not going to ever be perfect. It's not going to be insane. If the IP doesn't demand as much of a drive in price as something like OP, then fine. But we can still get way more than a vanilla that's only top 3. They can still do way more than a playmat for top 32. Without a doubt. Without breaking the bank. Pack says, "I want nothing." This conversation is derailed so much. I guess anytime we talk about this, that's what happens. Put a garbage bag, put your clothes in after the event. Okay, Pack is on a roller coaster right now. It looks like. Konami could do so much more, but they don't. So, yeah, I don't know. Spent thousands on surfboards and fishing poles. Why does it need to be something to win in a hobby you do for fun? You compete in those with those? Like, that's not the same. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's continue. Before we never end this video.
Pricing is pricing is one of the
we derailed this entire conversation to get the pricing. We haven't even got to the pricing part of the video yet, so I'm not going to say too much more because I feel like I've already like rolled on for like 10 minutes on this.
Most frustrating ones because it feels like Konami don't care.
They really don't. They don't. And this one is not defendable at all. It's not defendable. It's gotten worse and worse.
Is becoming increasingly bad, and I don't like the direction of card design and the direction that we're heading in. And if you combine that with the fact that I can put hundreds of hours into perfecting my deck for a YCS, go 11-1, let's say in Swiss, lose first round of Top Cut, and I get a playmat that's impossible to sell. Or let's say I do go to a YCS and I do win I win the first 2 rounds of Top Cut. I'm in top 8. I get a Nintendo Switch, which doesn't even cover the cost of travel and definitely does not compensate me or make me feel cared about for the hundreds of hours of gameplay and testing I put in to be prepared for this event. It just feels like I'm not cared about as a player. And I think a lot of people feel like that. And we can see...
I mean, like, it's weird. And it's hard for it to all just make it cover your travel. Because Konami has to make it not like... If it's going to impact their budget in a way that's crazy negative, they're not going to do it anyways. I can't expect them to, right? I have to look at it from both perspectives. So, like, more technology and stuff, I don't expect, but that doesn't mean there isn't better stuff they could do. It'd be nice if we get prizes that cover the traveling a lot more efficiently, but I guess I'd like to, before I get that far ahead of myself, I'd like to at least see it improved somewhat in the initial stages, but yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's also for me a bit more skewed because my cost of travel tend to be a lot more as somebody who travels internationally a lot. I don't know what the cost of travel is to, say, Italy. It probably isn't nearly as much as what it costs me. Maybe it makes cost of travel not that much to compensate, but yeah.
Players quitting in their masses and switching to other card games like Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic, One Piece, because the pricing is better. It does feel like the company cares a bit more. And then
Magic is kind of shit for this. One Piece, One Piece and Lorcana, I feel like both low-key suck, but the IPs are strong and their initial prize structure is better. However, if those games ever start to go downhill, I think those companies are shit and will not do good. I think Pokemon is great, and I wish I enjoyed the game a little more. I kind of want to, like, I'm talking about the company's pack. I think Lorcana, the company's fucking garbage. I think if I were to quit and go to another game, I kind of want to do Pokemon. I love the company way more. I think the IP is great. The pricing is cash, which means it's not subject to market demand, which is very volatile. And just seeing Worlds last year and how much effort was put into it, it was so cool. Pokemon is really good. And if there's a game I have admiration for, it's actually Pokemon, not the others. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still terrible. I'm not defending Yu-Gi-Oh! I just think like a lot of the other games also suck. I think Pokemon's just like the best out of them.
Top of that, even outside of pricing, you have things like
Hold on, Pax said you can play both.
promote their world championships.
Pause, or is YouTube not going to work?
Like world championships.
God, YouTube is terrible. You play both. It's so hard to play both and keep up. You haven't done it for a while, Pack. Play for a while when a new format rolls around, and you'll realize it is fucking hard to keep up while also working and doing everything else. I said if I won Worlds, I would probably stop playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! As much and spend a year trying to qualify for Poke Worlds and see where that takes me. And I'd still play Yu-Gi-Oh! But Yu-Gi-Oh would be more casual. I'd only go to NAYCSs, and I would do content still, but I would do them on Pokemon. It's hard, but Foxy. Pack, don't you remember before Nationals when you grinded super hard and then you got sick for a week and like literally passed out of your desk or something? Like, bro, you were not well because you worked too hard. I actually prefer TCG, but VHC is cool too. Pack literally drove himself into exhaustion because he doesn't sleep. Pack is an idiot. Crazy good work ethic, but also an idiot.
Sometimes it players like more with like the Worlds decks, post Worlds. Magic have the Hall of Fame, and just systems like that where it feels like you're encouraged to be competitive. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, it feels like you're not encouraged to be competitive because you're not rewarded for being good at the game. Like, they don't care if you're good at the game. Like, I guess one of the examples that pushes it for me is I topped the World Championships last year. I made top 8 and then lost first round.
Yeah, I've also top 8 of the World Championship. Yeah, she's gonna say it. I'll let her say it.
I walked out empty-handed.
No prizes for top 8 of the World Championship is so fucked. And I've been there. I was first in Swiss. And I was feeling myself, and I bricked twice in top 8, and I was so mad. And then there's no prizing as well. Holy shit. That shit. Shit fucking blows. That is more on the prize support issue, but like that is also just a why? Why is it like that, Konami type thing? Like, they don't pay for travel. They do. You seen the Nerd Factor tweet on prizing? No. A lot of games don't really support their best players though. Magic does a good job of it. I'm not sure Pokemon does, but I think Konami doesn't want to do that because it's not an interest, the spirit of the game. They say. I don't like that as an excuse, but I understand that more than other things. That doesn't excuse the shit pricing when there are ways to do that without making it cash or anything actually expensive. To be fair, titles meant more in the past as well. That's not true. That's just your perspective as well. People still care. Before your break in 2016, you knew who won your own nationals, even for some other countries. The other day, you talked about it with a friend. Issues naming the last 3 winners from Germany, we could still name most of 2016. That's you. I know plenty of new players who know all the recent champions. Because those are the people who come up to me as like fans. And they know all these new players. Like I've seen it first-handedly. That just means it's the newer players getting into the game. That part doesn't matter. There's still a lot of pride behind that. It doesn't mean shit. But yeah. As an internal traveler for events, you'd love to hear any of your favorite travel tips. No, that is discussion for another day. The Q&A is done for now. We're focusing on this. Ask me later. Not a good time. OP has drama because some of the EU players aren't able to sign up for nationals because lottery based. Yeah, that shit's also dumb. Oh yeah, listen. When you're bitching about Yu-Gi-Oh, the other games don't have zero problems. Like that's not to defend any of them, but yeah, it shows that it's a lot harder than it seems to have a game be perfect. But again, yeah.
I made it to the highest level. If you can make it to the highest level of the game, and then top the event at the highest level of the game and walk out empty-handed, it does leave a bit of a sour taste about how the company cares about their players. There are other reasons, of course. There's a couple. Actually, one point I want to bring on YCS is it feels more rewarding to play locals. Like
it can, yeah, literally it can.
And hundreds of hours to go
locals. Yesterday, it was like a bunch of OTS packs were first. I had to go home, unfortunately. I remember it was 4 rounds of Swiss. I was 3-0, and I'm like, I would have got like like a bunch of OTS packs were first if I won. I had, but like, and I still made back my entry in OTS packs pretty much for going X1 dropping a 3-0. But the pricing is just better than top 16 half the time. You have to get top 8 to do better than that. And there are bigger locals where you have case tournaments. I just signed up for one to get like 8 boxes for first, and I'll film that in what's it called in August. I'll go to locals and film a bigger tournament, and hopefully that'll be cool. So locals can be from a prize perspective. Yeah, they can be better, which is psycho, but yeah, their prerogatives for running it are a bit different though. So it's like hard to, like, it's not really the same thing. It's a bit hard to justify, but either way, yeah. Wait, can Hervoye not sign up for nationals? That's fucked.
To a YCS. Top and
Armin, yes, I know Hervoye. You don't have to tell me. Remember, I played One Piece with those guys. I know them better. I know them solidly. He coached me to get good. He got second at Worlds. Yeah, he was the one coaching me before my tournament back in April.
where I could go to a 10-man locals, and it feels more rewarding to do well at that because of the prizing. Like,
Depends on locals. Some locals are dog shit, but yeah.
That sounds ridiculous. That coming top 32 in a 2,500 player event feels worse than getting first at a 10-man event. Like, come on. I'm not going to be stopping playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Entirely. I'm still going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Casually. It's still mechanically the game that I fell in love with, but I'm done competitively. I'll still be making some content about Yu-Gi-Oh! But I'm also going to make my content a bit more personalized when I come back to it. So it'll be more focused on, well, me rather than competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I've lost all interest. Like, they've lost me. There are other factors as well. Things like hate and negativity in community. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is notorious for it, and it does take its toll. I think in comparison...
Shame on all of you for being negative. I mean, this is online in general, though, unfortunately. I think it's just Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it was rough. Be nice to people. I have nothing else to say.
To
The content
other
creator
card
thing, like
games
Yu-Gi-Oh!
where
fan?
other card games just feel more well.
She probably gets a lot more shit as well because she's trans. Unfortunately, like, that's just the reality
To
of it.
players, I don't get me wrong. I love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, and like, I have had an amazing year, and I'm super grateful to everyone who supported me and my community. But yeah, seeing the general negativity within Yu-Gi-Oh! Is another discouraging factor.
It's part of also why I don't like post. I try and avoid posting Yu-Gi-Oh! Demon videos, even if I think they do good on the channel. it really feels like it spreads negativity, and I don't like doing that. I really don't like doing that. It won't stop me from not sharing my opinions either when I am feeling a negative fashion, but I try and avoid it. Yeah. This is so laggy.
But yeah, so to conclude, design and cards becoming so powerful that the game is becoming more and more RNG dependent, and players are able to top less consistently. Add to that pricing so you're not encouraged to top in the first place, and just generally being, like you're not being encouraged to do well in the first place. The combination of those factors, and then it feels more rewarding to enter locals. That is the reason that myself and many, many Yu-Gi-Oh players are just leaving the game. And I think, although Yu-Gi-Oh has always had these dooming moments where it's like, oh, the game's over, links are gonna kill the game. I don't think right now is going to kill the game. But I think irreparable damage has already been done to the player base. Like, I thought I'd always be like the last man standing for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because even when people were dooming about other factors, I still love the game. But they've gotten me.
All right. See, that there is some point that I wanted to bring up. So she's played for 10 years, she said. I've played for 20. So as the old man here, I've seen so many players come and go. People who doomed before oftentimes did leave. There are plenty of players, pro players included, players you'd seen topping, stopped playing at Lynx, stopped playing with Zoo, like they promised. New players come in to fill their shoes. New players start doing well. New waves of the next generation. That does happen. And it's rare for people to stay with it that long. I feel like I'm one of the few peoples that have stuck with it forever. So, could this be more of a larger exodus than before? Potentially. I don't have the numbers, so I can't comment on if it's not or it is. But there have been times where players have left and they've meant it. But it's also not really been the biggest issue, right? Like, I can think of many players who I know that have been very good, high credentials, and very strong in the generations who have left. And they did actually leave. And maybe they came back later at a more casual point. But yeah. Sometimes it gets to you and you are the one then to leave. So I do wonder if it's more of that happening. And we'll see the new cycle of players start to come in. That is my intuition, right? After 20 years or so of watching it all happen in the game. And I mean, I treat it like it would as stoic, right? Where history repeats itself. The same thing that happened before is going to keep happening again. That's kind of what I expect. Meta players come and go. So do casuals, players in general. Most players don't stick with it that long. By that long, I mean in the sense that of me level long. Players like Josh and I are almost an anomaly. We don't, like, it's so hard to play this game at this level for an infinite amount of time. For me, it's come at an expense of other stuff. Like, both of us don't have jobs. Real jobs, I mean. We have bullshit content creator, like vending. I do vending as well. He does mostly content, but like we don't have an actual job. Besides Yu-Gi-Oh! You have to... If you want to like it, yeah, I mean that's my point. It's like it's really hard for a player to play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively forever. I'll let it wrap up, I guess, and then some closing thoughts.
So, who knows? We'll have to see. I don't think this is the end of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I think this is, unless something drastically changes, I do think this is a step in a very, very bad direction. Anyway, that's it from me.
I hope Europe gets some sort of recovery, some sort of answers, because that needs to be fixed. Europe is it's always been in a worse spot than America, it felt like, and it's just been exacerbated now. I hope she gets her spark back in terms of enjoying from the game. New format changes her opinions. But again, otherwise, make sure you go like and subscribe. Appreciate that she gave us some content. I don't think there's anything more to talk about. I kind of shared my opinions on all the topics pretty thoroughly. This has gone on for almost an hour now, maybe an hour at this point. So, yeah. Who needs more negativity, right? I think we are good with that for now. So, I'm wondering if I should do the 2015 recap now. I know I said I would do the 2015 recap, but for one, we're 2.5 hours almost into the stream. Now, I don't really want to stream for 3 more hours because that video will take a while. But also, if YouTube is crapping itself, I really don't want to have it lag as I'm pausing every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever.